And we are live here at Mormon Book Reviews, special live stream here. Hopping on like a minute or so early so people get their notifications that we're hopping on. I just got my notifications. So hopefully people will hop on and check out this episode. And again, this has just been a really difficult 24 hours. And I've been decompressing and processing, more so processing what's happened. And I think it's important that now more than ever, that we have a safe space where people can have conversations, where people who disagree with each other can still come on this platform and we can attempt to have civil conversations. But this hits way too close to home. It really hit me more so today. I did my little short yesterday, and then I've been on the phone talking to people. Been talking to a lot of influencers in this space, and there's concerns. First of all, this hits home because, of course, this happens in Utah. Second of all, I've been having a lot of issues, even within this space, in the Exmo space, the TBM space, the evangelical space, the atheist space, in which we've had a lot of bad things happen where a lot of people are attacking each other. And it really hit me yesterday. I just talked to somebody who's a friend who you would all know, who's afraid that he might get shot. I told him, I said, maybe you need to get out of town for a bit. Had that conversation with him today. I also look at a lot of the stuff that people who are saying to each other. And again, I want to kind of talk more about our community and what is our community as I would define it. Because again, you're like, well, you're an evangelical who lives in Florida and you've never been a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Why are you saying community, right? and when I say community, I mean this online space of Mormon podcasters and people who podcast about Mormonism, whether it's ex, anti, pro, faithful, progmo. We all know that there are things have gotten really, the last few years, things have really gotten bad. And in this space, there seems to be a widening divide that's causing splits in families and causing splits in this community. So this is real, and I'm very concerned that if this rhetoric continues in our community, that people could get hurt. I spoke to somebody else on the phone earlier who was a victim of violence directed towards them because of something somebody said on another YouTube channel. Okay. So we've already seen property damage. We've already seen violence. We've also seen people like Kolch being doxxed by somebody in the ex-Mormon space. Even he's an ex-Mormon. Okay. So now we got the doxing. We've got the name calling. You know, just recently I was accused by a far lefty of being a traitor. Think about that. What is traitor? What happens to traitors historically? That's a violent threat as far as I'm concerned. And then I have far righties, and I'm not going to give their names because I'm not going to give them the opportunity to get any notoriety out of this. This far righty kook job is accusing me of being transphobic. And that's just beyond the pale. Then we got that idiot. And I'm sorry, I just have to get this out because I'm feeling it, but I want to get back. I want to reel this back in. But this individual who attacked my mom and I, and then for those of you who continue to back him after he did that, I'm very disappointed in you. I think most of you have seen the error of your ways and have come back into my orbit. Listen, are we just one tweet away from somebody getting shot in our space? That's what I'm concerned about. That there's kooks on all sides on this. Okay, so for people who are pointing out one side or the other, I'm sorry. Extremism in any form on any side has to be renounced. We've got to stop this. This is insane. And actually, honestly, I didn't expect to be upset when I came on here, but I'm kind of ticked off, and maybe this is my talk therapy. Maybe I just need to vent a little bit. Now, I just want to say, for those of you who would like to enter into the chat, please feel free to do so. If you have any questions or comments that you would like to participate in this conversation. I just have it for subscribers only because I don't want the trolls to try to hop in here and try to take over the conversation. So those of you who would like to participate in the live chat, this would be the time to do it if you want to talk amongst yourselves. Also, just put a thumbs up on this so that this does get out to a larger audience. Most people watch these live streams after the fact, and this is unusual. I don't normally live stream this time of day, but I usually release an episode. Charlie Kirk is an image bearer. First and foremost, a child of God. All right? As I would understand it. For those of you who are atheists, he's a member of the human community and is your brother in that sense as well. Because approximately, I think it was around 50 or 150,000 years ago, the human species was almost eliminated. There were only about 1,800 of us left. We had to work together. I think part of the reason we had to work together because we believe in something bigger than ourselves. So even speaking from an evolutionary materialistic position, we had to have each other's back. And tribalism has been there. It's also, we're hardwired for being tribalism. We're hardwired for spirituality. We're hardwired for a lot of things. And there's some good. And these are survival instincts that have been put out there for us to make it. But sometimes these can also be very dangerous in the tribalism in which we see countries going to war or different ethnic groups going to war, or now in this sense, the tribalism has become ideologically tribalism, right? And so I think it's just really important for us all. Starbase Collab says, blessed be the peacemakers. Thank you, Starbase. And that's what we're trying to do in this space. We're going to try to model how this can be done. Look, I'm just a tiny little YouTuber, okay? But we don't have a whole lot of spaces in this area in which we can have these civil conversations. And this is what we want to do. We want to show that, the principles that we're trying to follow, both here at my channel, More in Book Reviews, as well as the Utah Interfaith Forum YouTube channel and Facebook group, which I'm really feeling maybe I need to relaunch that because maybe we need to have more conversations in those forums too, to broaden out the conversation. But this has just been a very tough time. I've talked to people who didn't get much sleep last night or suffering depression. I'm feeling really a lot of pain, and I feel a lot of pain, especially for my friends who might be targeted. And they could be, look, this could come from the left or could come from the right. I'm sorry for those of you who say it's only coming from one side. Just pick up a history book. Historically, there has been political violence on both sides. And think of this too. This is the anniversary, September 11th, of the Mountain Meadows Massacre. Okay, and it's of course September 11th in the 21st century, where we had the Twin Towers. So also, I meant to bring this up sooner, but I also want to just say condolences to the Meldrum family. Rod Meldrum's cousin, Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, passed away today from brain cancer at the age of 67. I sent a message to Rod, giving condolences. So let's keep the Meldrum family in our prayers as well. As far as I know, Jeffrey Meldrum was an active member in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Thomas Murphy and I actually had a conversation about some of the work that Jeffrey did about DNA in the Book of Mormon. But Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum is best known for being one of the top Bigfoot researchers in America. So he's very well known in that as well. So condolences to the Meldrum family for the passing of too young. 67 is too young. So this has been really tough. Okay. And again, but we're going to move forward on this. This Sunday, I'm going to be taping an interview with Colby Reddish. Him and I had already scheduled this interview. And we said, let's have because I will talk to Colby Reddish for an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes on the phone. And we'll talk about like Book of Mormon origin theories, talk about, faith and doubt and atheism versus, Christianity and the importance of maybe Christian culture. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was like, Colby, we need to have we need to record these conversations because it's so good, because you and I can be disagreeing with things, but be very civil in our discourse with one another. So we're going to tape it this Sunday, and I might even release the episode this Sunday, because I think it's so important that we just model how we can have civil conversations between people that we disagree with. And we need to continue this dialogue. And let's first of all, for those of you on the left who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, shame on you. For those of you who are also making fun of how people are mourning this, shame on you. But also at the same time, for those of you on the right who are saying that all Democrats are responsible for this, that shame on you. Okay, it's not. It shouldn't be this way. This may not be a very popular opinion on either side, but I have studied. Look, I was a poli-sci guy. I've studied the rise of nationalistic movements throughout the years. I'm a student of history. I'm a student of politics, and I will tell you right now that the extremes are so close to each other in many, many ways. And they've actually done some studies that show that brain-wise, their activity, the way they see the world and how they respond is very similar. So they're wired very similarly as well. Paul Porter, he was an Idaho State University Bigfoot legend. Yes, Paul Porter, thank you for acknowledging Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, who passed away today. And again, it was going to get buried in the headlines, but he was an important voice, both in Latter-day Saint circles, as well as anthropology and Bigfoot studies. So again, condolences to the Meldrum family. Okay, I've got a few dozen people here. We're talking. I want to make sure that if you want to contribute in the chat, this is the time to do it, to make your points, have any questions, make any comments, make any observations. How are you processing this? How are you dealing with it? You know, it really hits home because, of course, this all took place in Utah. I've reached out, like I said, to a few influencers. Some of them have put some stuff out. Some are laying low, including one who I advise might be wise to get out of town for a while, so for things to cool down. There's a lot of we're all a little. It just feels different, doesn't it? It just feels like that we've entered into the darkness that's enveloped this nation for quite some time now. It seems like it's getting darker and darker and darker. And I think it's demonic. Let's be honest with you, I think it's demonic. Okay, CMZ Barth says there's a quote from Charlie going around that is taken out of context. Okay, I will tell you, I was aware of Charlie Kirk. I knew who he was. He made his rise in the Tea Party movement in 2010 as an 18-year-old kid. Let me just read this comment. I said, okay, I'm not even going to try to say your username again, Barth, but you said my username perfectly. Lisa Bite Me. I was definitely not a Kirk fan, but nobody deserves to die that way. Correct. Thank you. Because Lisa, you recognize that this is an image bearer, whether it's in the human community or in a supernatural sense. And so I think we need to turn down the heat here, turn down the rhetoric. Again, this has been a very difficult time for myself. I've been suffering a little bit from depression and have just going through the attacks from people from the far left and the far right. The words, the language they use is very dangerous. And I'm very concerned about people operating in this space, that great harm could come to us. People like to think of influencers as just being the person on your screen. And they forget that we are human beings and we do have feelings. And we all do know that entering into this space requires thick skin. I knew that as well. But it still sucks and it still hurts. But what scares me more than anything is it could be taken to the next level. Tim Rathbone says, you take care, Steve. We have your back. Thank you. And so I'm just concerned for everybody on all sides. I want you to look in the mirror and just ask yourself, what can I do to help bring down the temperature? What can I do to avoid contention, like President Nelson spoke about a couple years in General Conference, and many even in the ex-Mormon space embrace that. Like let's tone down things, and I think in one sense President Nelson was prophetic. Maybe people in the faithful community need to turn down the heat a little bit. Maybe you need to recognize that the people on the other side are also fellow image bearers. I will tell you, the Lord put me, this is before early days of the church, okay? And I've told this story before. The Lord put me on one side of the street, and we were all holding our protest signs. And then across the street were people holding protest signs against my side. Somebody asked me once, what do the signs say? I said, I don't remember what they said, but as a matter of fact, they didn't say anything. It was less important what the signs are saying. But God was telling me, see those people across the street? And I said, yeah. And he said, just remember, Steve, they're also fellow image bearers. And that's been my mantra. Fellow image bearer, fellow image bearer. So when I get some anonymous keyboard warrior who's just saying horrible things about myself or my friends, I still have to remind myself, fellow image bearer. It's hard. It's not easy. Being a peacemaker is hard. It's easy to break and destroy things. It's very hard to rebuild and build things. And this is a real challenge. And sometimes it can feel like a very lonely space. So this is just, like I said, I hate what this is doing to our community. I hate what's been happening to our community. I would hope, just ask everybody, just do your part. We're all responsible for what we do or say. We can't control what other people do or say, but we also can control how we respond to what people do and say too, as well. We can choose to exacerbate it and to make the situation even worse, or we can choose to turn the other cheek. Pray for those who despitefully use you. Love your enemies. Let's follow the chief peacemaker on this. I think it's so important. Let me just read a couple comments here. RL says, can you point to the far right raising the political temperature or to the right wing attacking the left wing? I mean, I just had an example of somebody, it happened to them today on Twitter, that it was a person attacking a progressive person and saying that you're the enemy. And basically, you're basically responsible for Charlie Kirk's death. So yeah, I just had a friend, had a conversation with him on the phone today. Okay, so and I will tell you, yes, there's been violence on both sides. Please, there has been. We have to acknowledge this. And again, this is not a popular position because everybody wants to, say that their side is the righteous side and the other side is demonic and evil. Man, if we keep on demonizing fellow image bearers, we're all going to end up in our own hells. Okay. Barth says, I'm not going to try to do the whole thing, but Barth says, Brigham Young said that it takes intelligence to build something, but none to destroy it. Yeah, amen. I love that prophetic word from Brigham Young. There's also this other aspect too, and I will tell you, I've been a victim of this myself. And again, I'm not making this about myself. Have there been examples of right-wing conservatives attacking me? Yes. And what's so funny is I'm not a progressive, but because I don't check every single box, then I get attacked for being accused of being a progressive, even though that's total BS, and they know it. I have a Christian ministry based in Utah that have spent a couple years now trying to other me, and basically just using the AI to find selective quotes that I've said and not actually do any research on me, which is ironic because they have research in their name. I think those people need to pipe down too. And those far lefties that attacked me and accused me of being a traitor, yeah, shame on you. Shame on you. So yeah, I've been attacked from both the right and the left. So I can tell you, I have personally experienced it. This comes from personal experience. Okay, so a few more. Just please, I appreciate the comments we're getting in the chat here. I wasn't planning on going too long, but I just felt like, okay, I don't want to release an episode that I taped like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It would be tone deaf to do so. Gray area faiths. No, that's not, I don't know. Maybe that's the name. I don't know, gray area faith, but maybe that may be one of their names. But yeah, they haven't been nice to me. And then what's so funny is I actually went to their offices and met with the president of the group and said, listen, I want to help you guys. I want to help you guys help do better research, and I can be a resource to you. And instead, the next day, they chose me to attacking me for attending the baptism of the wrong church. Come on, grow up, guys. Okay, thank you, Steve. So I got, wait a second, I got something pop up on my computer. What's this? I don't know. I won't. SN770 says, thank you, Steve, for seeing both sides. Humans are humans, and no human should have had to see what happened yesterday. This is our chance to be good humans and be kind to those around us. Risto says, one of our problems is referring to all disagreements as hate or attacks. This leads to raising the temperature in the room. Yeah, that's a good point, Risto. Maybe I need to watch how I use my language in that area too. Risto says we can love each other and disagree. Amen to that. I think that's really, I mean, that's the golden rule on some level, right? Yeah, I mean, obviously the golden rule. Nobody would want to be in Charlie's place. Well, this Charlie said some things that upset people. Yeah, and do I condone every statement and comment that Charlie's made? No, I do not. But I think the one thing I will say is that even though he said stuff, he was willing to engage. He was willing to go to college campuses and say, here's open mic. Show me why I'm wrong. I think we need more of that. So to his credit, he was willing to engage and have conversations with people. I can tell you from personal experience that I've had many times where I've tried to engage people, my enemies, people who don't like me, people who would attack me publicly, and just say, listen, let's just talk. Let's talk on Zoom. Let's have a conversation. Let's man to man. It's usually men that attack me, sometimes women, but let's at least have a conversation. And they just check it out. So it's this inability for us to be able to communicate with each other. And this inability, this unwillingness for people to want to talk to each other is what is going to continue to cause our republic to fall apart. I mean, I think we're at that point. Now, am I optimistic in one sense that, look, in the 1860s and the 1960s, where the climate's even worse than they are now? Yes. Did we find a way to be at the edge of the precipice and pull back? Yeah, we did. But how many more times can we do that before before the republic falls? And I'm very concerned about this is a real thing that's happening. I want to give kudos to all the people, all the Democrats on the left who have condemned this violence, including Gavin Newsom, the governor, who, by the way, had a sit-down one-on-one conversation with Charlie Kirk earlier this year. Again, another example. We want to encourage that. There to be dialogue. That's better. Gavin Newsom strongly condemned what happened. So let's give credit to the people who are on the opposite side of Charlie, who for the most part largely have condemned this. Have there some kooks extremists on the left that have praised it, including that crazy guy that was caught on film celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk? Yeah, that guy's a piece of garbage. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, that's horrible. I just can't imagine that would be your first reaction to see a person shot right in front of you and you're yucking it up and you think this is a great thing. Okay, so I just want to open this up again. Any feedback from you would be greatly appreciated in the live chat. How are you processing this? How are you doing? I'm more concerned about my friends that could be targeted. And again, this could be from either side of the spectrum here. I think there's good reason for people on the right and for people on the left to be concerned about there being some retribution done, some revenge killings happening. I'm very concerned about this. We should all be concerned. And again, that's why also too, let's all watch what we say. Let's be more careful in how we say things about others. I mean, and again, a person was murdered in front of our eyes yesterday. I saw the footage. I was unexpectedly seeing it, and I was shocked by it. It was just so brutal. My heart goes out to the Kirk family. Let's keep them in our prayers. Good vibes, good thoughts, good prayers. Let's pray for our nation. Barth says nobody should respond with violence. Yes, the violence is not the answer for political disagreements. Okay, gray area face says, I was worried Christians would blame this on LDS folks because it happened in Utah, but I have not seen that. Have you? This is Shiloh, by the way. Yeah. No, I haven't seen that. And I would be really disappointed if they did. I can't imagine that evangelicals would do that. So, props for them. I would be horrified if they did. I would condemn it. So, I would be live streaming talking about that if they did that. Trust me, a gray area of faith. Yeah. So no, I'm just saying that, but I also am saying that these evangelicals who do attack and mock Latter-day Saints outside of their temple dedications during General Conference, and they make fun of their sacred garments, and they made fun of my Jewish friend Joe Carnes for wearing a yarmulke. These are some pretty ugly people who say some ugly things to people. And again, I'm going to ask those people, why don't you just quit with the protests, take the signs down, and why don't you just try to be more Christ-like, okay? Timothy Flowers asks, how do you think our republic could fall? Well, some have argued that it already has fallen. The moment America became an empire, like the Roman Empire, it was no longer a republic. And maybe that's how it will be viewed by the historians. We live in the American experiment is a very fragile one. We should really be grateful that we've been able to be born in this nation. It really is. I'm sorry. It's like the greatest nation in the world. And it has these great institutions, but everything is being undermined. And people have lost trust in all the institutions now. And there are players on both sides that are exacerbating this lack of trust in our institutions. And so basically, once if nobody believes in the institutions anymore, they no longer believe in the government. And again, I'm speaking as a libertarian who also wants there to be limited government, right? Maximum freedom, limited government. That's kind of how I would prefer on a political sense, more libertarian, but I try to stay nonpartisan. Because I'm also live and let live. Just leave people alone. Don't get in their bedrooms and tell them how to live their lives or who they can or can't love. I mean, I just think that's stupid too. Rathbone says, I was a child when JFK was killed, RFK, and Martin Luther King. It is very sad. How am I processing it? I remember what it was like. Okay, thank you, Tim, for sharing that. Jason Crawford asks, you cannot in good faith say that both sides are undermining the institutions and the democracy of our nation. I think you can make an argument that both sides have. I think that it's so interesting how the Democrats used to be the party for the worker, for the little guy. And then basically what happened was you saw the rise of Bill Clinton, who wanted to basically turn their backs on the labor unions, turn their backs on rural voters, and try to become a party of Wall Street like the Republican Party did. So they did. And that's one of the main reasons why all those rural and poor people and blue collar people became Trump supporters. Okay. So what you saw was basically a betrayal of the Democrat base. Look, West Virginia was one of the most Democrat states in the country and voted for Bubba overwhelmingly in both 92 and 96. It was one of the top states for Bill Clinton. Guess what was one of the top states for Donald Trump in all three of the elections? West Virginia. If you want to see the shift that's happened, it's there. We've also seen the Republican Party, which used to be stand for limited government and balanced budgets. And, and also even George Bush ran under the mantra of a foreign policy that wasn't going to be the policeman in the world. Unfortunately, 9/11 happened, and I don't want to talk about politics, but basically what's happened essentially is that both parties have betrayed the American people, causing them to lose faith in our institutions. That's just the reality. And sometimes questioning institutions can be a good thing at the same time. But when it comes down to, if we can't trust what our government's doing anymore on the basics, where we can't even agree, let's not talk about government. Let's talk about, like, if we can't even agree on the same set of facts, then really, are we still the same nation? I mean, honestly, aren't we just becoming two separate nations at this point? And maybe the solution to this is just for there to be a grand national divorce. I hate to say that, but I think that's definitely in the cards. Steve Ellison, if you're going to say a bunch of people are crazy, you have to at least consider that maybe you are crazy, I think. Yeah, Steve Ellison, I think a lot of people look at me and say, boy, that's kind of crazy that this evangelical who has nothing to do with Mormonism it's kind of crazy. Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, people could look at me and say, yeah, that guy, Pinecker, is an odd duck. And I'm like, yeah, I am a little weird, maybe a little crazy. I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to put the mirror up, and, I'm always making sure, like, okay, I want to eliminate all my blind spots, and I want to be a better person. And I'm always very introspective and always questioning my motives and everything. So I think everybody needs more self-reflection. Yeah, like Tim Rathbone says, both parties have abandoned their core principles. It's really simple. I don't think there's any debate here. I think this, and I think if people lose faith in their parties and their politicians, they lose faith in our country. They lose faith in important institutions like the military, um, and stuff like that, and the police, and they lose faith in institutions like the FBI, and lose faith in institutions. I mean, and this is both sides have lost faith in a lot of these institutions. I just don't know if this is tenable and we can continue going forth. I didn't mean to go this long, but I do appreciate the conversation that we're having in the live chat here, and I want to invite people to turn on that live chat if you're watching this after it's been live streamed. John Booker says mental illness takes many forms. We are witnessing a mass of unstable individuals acting out of narcissistic rage. And I think that is, John, a very important thing. And mental illness knows no political ideology. Okay. There's mental illness on both sides. And I do think that this is absolutely a factor that needs to be put into this as well. The rise of a lot of people being put on drugs and stuff like that for depression. We don't really know what the effects are. I think the shutting down of mental institutions and basically just throwing people out in the streets, people aren't able to get treatment. I think these are core issues that need to be addressed, no question. The accessibility of guns. I mean, look, I'm pro First Amendment, I'm pro Second Amendment, and on one hand, I'm like, got to do something about guns, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm so glad that Gun Owners of America and the National Rifle Association made it very clear that transgender people have just as much right to own a gun as anybody else. And so at least give them credit for maintaining their ideological purity in that regard as well. Complicated stuff, right? Very complicated. Okay, let's see. Starbase Kolob says, seen Steve be able to nail the Ether's Elephant episode with Jim. Shows how well Steve understands the community while maintaining open dialogue. Thank you, Starbase Kolob, for those comments. And yeah, that was a really good conversation. And again, isn't it kind of funny how we've been having this conversation for a while now, and I've been putting it out there for quite some time. Like, let's come on, folks, let's talk. Let us reason together. Why should we be attacking each other? Why can't we talk to each other? Why do we draw the lines like we do? And honestly, too, you have to be willing to look in the mirror and acknowledge that we are all part of the problem. And once we recognize that we are all part of the problem, and we have contributed in some ways or not, and even some more than others, fair enough. Maybe one side a little more than the other, and you probably just have your view on which side is that. But we have to have the ability for self-reflection and say, well, what am I doing to help make this a better world, a better country, a better community? How am I contributing in a positive way? Am I? Or am I getting behind the keyboard and attacking other people and othering other people? This is both sides, folks. So we all need to ask ourselves this question. I see this blind spot on the left and the right all the time. And talk to people all the time. And again, I will reach out. I will spend 2 hours talking to a person on the left and a person on the right who I may agree with or disagree with on some points. But it's always civil. I don't see why we can't. We need to take this space back. For those who are peacemakers, for those of you who believe, who do have faith that maybe we can bounce back from this, we need to retake this space. If we don't, we're going to have a civil war in this community, online especially. But what happens if it starts getting out in the streets? What happens if an influencer in this community, whether it's regardless of which one it is, what would happen if somebody did get hurt, attacked, and God forbid, maybe even killed? That's why I'm calling for civility in this space, because I'm very concerned that there are some very mentally unstable people out there who might see a tweet, might see a video put out, and decide to target somebody based on something they saw. We all have to face that responsibility as influencers to recognize we need to be careful what we say. I don't want us to censor anything. Again, I'm a big First Amendment guy, and I do believe that these platforms, we should be able to say and do anything we want, basically, within reason. But at the same time, if you do have a platform, you have to recognize that you do have a kind of a moral obligation to your audience to try to not maybe platform some really evil people, but also be careful on how what you say could be interpreted by maybe somebody that could be interpreted in a way that maybe you didn't intend, but might cause harm done to another person. I just think we just need to be careful in how we say it. I think it's important to be able to get out what we believe, how we see the world, but do it in a way that doesn't have to be harmful to other people. I think if you have the truth on your side, you don't have to attack the other side. You just state your case and the truth will come out. And you don't have to look. To me, I always say is if and this so often happens, especially in the apologetics world, they basically what they want to do is they want to undermine your view in order to attack your view or attack your faith in order to promote their own. And that's just like the worst kind of polemics there could possibly be. And I see that so often in this space. JT says watching on delay. Steve Ellison says, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in to bind up the nation's wounds. Very good. Yeah, and JT Nelson's Peacemaker talk feels more important now. And we, of course, if you're watching this on delay, we referenced that earlier. Maybe that was pretty prophetic, President Nelson. I think we need to follow his lead on this and continue to encourage that. And hopefully in General Conference, that will be the theme as well in light of everything that's been happening. Well, we've been going for over 35 minutes now. I wasn't expecting to go this long, but I love the responses we're getting. Again, please put thumbs up on this so this gets out in front of more people, because I really think it's important that people hear what we're trying to do here. We're going to continue the dialogue. We're going to continue this conversations. Let's keep the Kirk family in our prayers. This is absolutely devastating. And just everybody just pray for those who despitefully use you. Turn the other cheek. Love your enemies. These are so important. These are important words during this time. Let's follow the peacemaker on this. Let's follow the teachings of Christ and the example of Christ. It's all laid out there for us. And all this infighting within groups, like infighting, maybe we need to tone it down. I just think it's really important. And please also keep in mind too, for those of you who like to get on these forums and attack people regardless of where you're coming from, but just love to be keyboard warriors and attack people like myself or John DeLynn or Bill Reel or Jacob Hansen or RFM or Rebecca Biblioteca or Colby Reddish or Rob Meldrum, Greg Martin. Maybe before you decide to press send or to post it, ask yourself, when I'm going to be making these criticisms of these people or their supporters, am I going to bring down the temperature or am I going to raise it? Am I going to cause or are we heading towards a peace or are we heading towards war, whether it's verbal or whatever? Ask yourself that question before you post it. That's all I ask. Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody. This went a little longer than I expected. Hopefully, I'll be taping my interview with Colby Reddish, where we're going to try to model how we can have civilized conversations this weekend. And then we'll just keep the dialogue going. For those of you who'd like to reach out to me, maybe we should do a panel discussion on this as well. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But I think this is really important for us to do this. And again, if I said anything to trigger anybody or upset anybody, I didn't mean to. But I also want to acknowledge that sometimes I misspeak or say things that might upset you. And I just want to tell you that was not my intent. And I do apologize for that as well. Let's all also learn to give each other the benefit of the doubt. We're not perfect. We are image bearers, but we are all broken vessels. And we need to realize that too, and have grace and charity towards other people. Steve says, you are great, Steve. Thank you, Steve Ellison. You are great. You're the great Steve. Thank you. All right, folks, this has been a really important talk, I guess, that I gave. And I wasn't really intending on going on so strong at the beginning, but I just felt like I had to say that. I think that's about it for now. Stay posted. I'll probably be doing some more live streaming, maybe put out some more shorts as this is a developing story. And I know this really does hit too close to home for all of us, really, right? And hug your loved ones tonight, and be grateful that you're alive, because it could all end in a blink of an eye. Godspeed, everyone.